Welcome back, Astro listeners, to the home of evolutionary astrology. This is your host, Media Monk, and as usual, I'm joined with our managing director for the Evolutionary Astrology Network. It is StarLady. Hi, StarLady.
Hello, Media Monk.
Hey, most of us know StarLady is indeed Kim Marie, the managing director for our network. We continue to certify new astrologers through that EA course. You can go to our website at www.evolutionaryastrology.net or call us 1-605-348-5111 for more information on that course, our certification process for astrologers, and also to schedule your personal time with StarLady. One little program note, we have 4 major webinar events on Zoom coming up. November 20th, we'll explore the Mercury retrograde. That's a free Pay It Forward webinar. You can get that link on our newsletter and share it with family, friends, and colleagues. December 4th, Mars retrograde in Leo Cancer. And, of course, we're coming up onto the holiday season, the end of the new year, and we'll actually do a 2025 annual forecast, the long version, on December 20th. And then we have a nodal access ingress into, it looks like, Pisces, Virgo, yeah.
Yep.
North Node, Pisces. That's January 13th. So, anyway, a lot of information there. Be looking in our newsletter. We'll have more information how to enroll with the Zoom link right there. Please join us at EAN for these important forecasting webinars to end and begin a new year. So with that, I'll turn it over to you, StarLady.
You bet me, Monk. I couldn't quite hear you, so I'm just going to repeat. The 2025 forecasting webinar is December 30th. I'm thinking you might have said the 20th, but I may have misheard. So December 30th for the forecast webinar.
And I believe all of these are going to be at 6 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. So extrapolate that for your daytimers and phones, etc.
And all Zoom links are in the newsletter we send out.
Right.
Thanks, Media Monk. Hello, everyone. I am grateful that I had a week to process current events before I got on to do the Full Moon of Taurus podcast. And that full moon will be November 15th, just after Saturn goes stationary direct. And it will be at Sun 24 Scorpio, Moon 24 degrees Taurus. So, I like to tell everybody I've been going through those 5 stages of grief that get written about. Some people agree with them and some people don't. But I feel like I've moved past my depression. I vacillate between anger, rage, and detachment. And so I'll do my best to be level-headed today. I want to just mention for all of you that last weekend on EA Zoom, we kind of had a post-election panel, and I spoke right at first in the first 10 minutes. So if you want to go on EA Zoom's YouTube channel, you can see a couple of slides that I put up about the election results. I'm going to mention just one article right now. If you haven't heard of The New Republic, it is a magazine, and of course everything's online now, publication that started in 1914, so been around a while. Editor is Michael Thomasky. And on November 8th, he wrote an article, Why Does No One Understand the Real Reason Trump Won? I highly recommend you go read that article. There's a link to it on the EA Zoom slides that I did. The main reason Kamala Harris lost, from his perspective, which I agree with, is that today the right-wing media sets the news agenda in this country. And right-wing media feeds their audiences a diet of slanted and distorted information that is pro-Trump. So 2/3 of our country in the U.S., 2/3 of the country get the news, not right-wing news, the news, through right-wing media. They don't hear about a comedian calling Puerto Rico garbage. And so it started back in 1996 with Fox News, and Pluto, the soul, individual collectively, was in Sagittarius, 1995 through 2008. And then we had 2008 till now, literally this podcast, Pluto in Capricorn. Well, Sagittarius rules truth versus lies, but it also rules higher education, publishing, law, the news, media in general. So it started with Fox News in 96, and then all the way through the Pluto Sagittarius, Pluto Capricorn transits, we've had more and more and more right-wing media. They dominate. And there's been a lot of super rich conservative money that has went towards that. And they don't have a governor anymore on the whole truth versus lies situation. You know, they get away with saying what they want because back in 1987, that's going back a little further yet, as that was early Pluto Scorpio, the Fairness Doctrine that said all of the media, whatever type of media, had to give equal time to both candidates or even those minor candidates. And while there is some parts of that still around, it's pretty much just gutted. And so these right-wing medias get away with saying whatever they want without equal time, etc. And so Michael Tomasky says that if the liberal movement does not invest in their own media again, it's going to be hard to change things. And that is because the right-wing media has the tendency to start the stories. Donald Trump will start some stories, but the Haitians eating cats and dogs, that was started in an obscure social media post that was picked up by Fox News and Newsmax and everybody else on the right. That's how J.D. Vance started saying it, which got to Trump, which ended up in the debate with Harris. Same thing with right-wing social media starting the false propaganda that the Biden-Harris administration took money away from FEMA hurricane victims with Helene and used it for illegal immigrants. And so we have, again, about 2/3 of the country that hear this and they think it is the news. And so there has to be some type of counteraction to that. I've been watching the media, and I even saw a news media online organization in my small state literally come out with a public opinion on this. We'll see if this spreads, because we can talk about Kamala being female, we can talk about her race, we can talk about, you know, this and that and all kinds of reasons why she lost. Michael Tomasky and a few others are basically saying it wouldn't have mattered. It could have left Biden in. It wouldn't have mattered. He could have declined re-election earlier and we could have had a real Democratic primary, it probably would not have mattered. That bigger picture, again, Pluto going into Aquarius, detach, objectify. That bigger picture is that the news is now controlled by one side dominantly, and they're not news, they're propaganda. I want to read you one quote from Michael Thomasky. And again, The New Republic, you can go search it online, read his article. He says, contemplate this. If you're of a certain age, you have a living memory of the revolution in what we used to call the Third World. Question, what's the first thing every guerrilla army, whether of the left or the right, did once they seized the palace? They took over the radio or television station first. There's a reason for that. And that's what we have going on in the USA. So, get ready for the you-know-what show. I might make a few comments here and there, but I'm going to try and move it a little bit into astrology. And this, not that that wasn't astrology, I labeled Pluto. This is the third and last super full moon for the rest of the year. Those super moons come every year, and it's when the moon is closest to Earth, and the moon appears to be brighter, and it literally can be up to 14% brighter, again, because we have the moon closest to Earth, and I can't remember what it's called. Perigee? I think it's perigee. Apogee is when it's furthest from the Earth, and that's 6 months from now. So anyway, it can seem like a little bit of a more potent full moon because it is so bright. And if you can get out there and watch it, which I am planning to do, full moon mini monk, fire pit mini monk, by all means, I have just been saying to people who have been contacting me all over the place, your healing, if you are devastated, is in nature. Nature will have the last word on anything and everything, even if its humans do not survive in the long term. They're probably going to survive this in the short term. However, that full moon of Taurus at 24 degrees is conjunct Uranus retrograde at 25 degrees Taurus. And November 16th, the day after the full moon, we have Sun, opposing both, moon and Uranus. We have the opposition of Sun to Uranus on those same degrees, 25 degrees Scorpio, Taurus. This is the highlight of the Uranus retrograde. And then we have Pluto transiting into Aquarius for the third time for the next 18 years, November 19th. So there's a lot of Uranian, Aquarian light bulbs going off. I will tell you the 4 words that I have come up with for Pluto's transit through Aquarius one more time. Detach, objectify, liberate, innovate. So we got to step back from something. We've got to look at it from the larger picture, and then we got to see what we want to change, and we have to fill up that energy and space and changing it as we let go. Until, wow, Donald Trump was elected through propaganda, and he is the end of the Pluto and Capricorn transit, and he's going to try and implement all of these old Capricorn ideas. He's going to run into Pluto and Aquarius over the next 4 years. going to run into Pluto and Aquarius over the next 18 years, him and his buddies. So observe this full moon and this sun's opposition with Uranus and Taurus. And what does it mean for you? How do you, on a personal level, conserve resources? Because if Donald Trump implements the tariffs, the inflation is not going to go away. It's going to get worse. I actually told Medium before the election because I had an undercurrent of concern while I had hope in that last podcast. You never saw me. I just didn't quite have the feeling to go Kamala in a landslide. It was my hope. I actually told Medium, honey, if Donald Trump gets back in, we may have to go buy a new TV because we have one that's probably going on the bleak after about 10 years or so. And if we try to wait 2 years, we might pay 50% as much money again. So that's my little comment with that sign opposite Uranus retrograde in your aha. How do you conserve your resources? I don't know how Donald Trump is going to go this time around. Maybe he might try to be an adult. He says whatever he wants to say in an inflammatory way. But maybe he might want to try and be an adult because he is going to have to create some type of legacy for himself. Stay tuned. As I look at who he's putting in for his various cabinet nominees, I was thankful he had John Thune, he didn't do it. The Senate rated John Thune as their majority leader. He is a senator from my state, South Dakota. He may turn out to be the most sane adult in the room. You may also have known that our governor from South Dakota, Kristi Noem, I won't repeat all the news about her. She finally got her cabinet position. She wanted to be VP, but she finally got in to be her cabinet position. She's the one in charge of our border. Stay tuned. If they follow through on that, 5 illegal aliens make up 5% of our workforce. And they are the bottom of the workforce. They do what white W-2 employees will not. If they really do follow through on all of this border stuff, then expect your prices of food to go up even more. So, again, we're just going to see whether Donald Trump has the ability to contemplate beyond the immediacy of the moment and his own grift in it. So, right before this full moon by a few hours, we have Saturn going stationary direct at 12.5 degrees Pisces. I will remind you that it was June 29th, a couple of days after Donald Trump and Joe Biden's first debate, that Saturn went stationary retrograde at 19.5 Pisces, followed by Neptune stationary retrograde 2 days later, July 1st, 2956 Pisces. I'll remember that time period because that was the beginning of depression for Democrats until he stepped down in July and endorsed Kamala. So here's the Saturn stationary direct from that. And Donald Trump got it. Again, I'm only going to say this one way. He won through propaganda controlled by right-wing media. Spread the word. Do your own research. The Saturn direct, I've been saying, is a reality check, and here is our reality check. And in evolutionary astrology, we like to talk about the fact that natural law, natural spiritual principles are about giving, sharing, and including. And the distortions of patriarchal principles are taking, hoarding, and excluding. And it's very, very likely we're going to see a lot of taking, hoarding, and excluding going on, at least over the next year or two, until our midterm elections, when there's pollsters saying that just in general things are going to be more favorable for Democrats due to shifting of the electorate. So we've still got to have a voice out there in the news. So Saturn may be giving us some depressing reality checks. Find your inner peace. Find your connection to source energy. Find your way to move forward. Find your way through nature. What I do. I was outside after the election, turned off that news in every way, pretty much, 90%. And was lucky enough to have beautiful weather, and I was out in my garden for 2 full days, finding my peace. Now, we have a Mercury retrograde coming up, and again, Wednesday, November 20th, check for the link in the newsletter. That's when we'll have our Mercury retrograde in Sag. Mercury is retrograde November 25th to December 15th. It goes retrograde at 22.5 Sag, and it's direct at 6.5 Sagittarius. So this full moon of Taurus, in addition to still having the full phase of Mars and Leo opposite Saturn 29.56 Capricorn on the full moon, we also have a T-square going on. Mercury in Sag with its retrograde cycle sandwiched in the middle of Jupiter in Gemini retrograde is having its first opposition to Jupiter. The Mercury-Jupiter opposition is November 18th. About 19 degrees Sag in Gemini, which is sandwiched between Donald Trump's North Node and his Uranus in Gemini, and Mercury opposing right on his moon in Sag and South Node. There's a T-square within orb with Saturn in Pisces, stationary direct. Mercury made its first waning square to Saturn November 12th. And this one was at right at that 13.5 Mercury Sag, Saturn retrograde in Pisces. So Mercury's retrograde cycle will carry this T-square. Mercury opposed Jupiter, Saturn halfway between, all through its retrograde cycle. Here's these reality checks that I've been talking about of truth versus lies. And that voice out there, I'm just going to pull it on the left, the voice of truth saying, hey guys, stop the debate over this issue, that issue that the Democrats did or didn't do. Here's the reality. Do not need to repeat myself, but we will see that 3 times during this Mercury retrograde. November, December, and late December, early January. Where is it showing up for you? How is it showing up for you? Where are you having to look at truth versus lies in your charts? I'm a little bit better now, but last week I told Meaty Monk, you better not take me out in public, honey, because I'm a pretty loose cannon right now. I just better stay on the cliff and calm myself down because I'm not going to shut up. So as I go through this T-square with Mercury left brain, Jupiter right brain, and Saturn here's reality, I'm trying to calm myself down. I'm trying to find my phrases. Ironically, anybody who knows my position and does not agree has not been challenging me, has not even brought up the election. It's like it didn't even exist. So you're going to have your own passage through 2 months of Mercury in Sagittarius, November 2nd to January 8th. You're going to have your own intuitive hits. You're going to have your own facts that you recognize. You're going to have your own way of just really working to make peace with everything. I wish you all the best with that. Sun's going to go into Sagittarius on November 21st. And here's the EA mantra I created a long time ago. I understand the relativity of truth with others. I understand the relativity of truth with others. So, as I said, Pluto's going to go into Aquarius for the next 18 years, 2 decades, November 19th. Might be a day in which you also want to just remove yourself from the world a little bit and really practice your detachment, your ability to be objective with your personal world, your familial world, your social world, the world at large, and decide how you want to liberate yourself from your path, from the collective path, and choose how you want to fill that space with innovation, how you choose to move forward regardless. I wish you all the best. I'll be right there with you. Thank you for listening.
And remember to tune into those webinars. Just make sure you're on that Astro newsletter list on the bottom of any page of our website. Just enter your name and email address. We'll make sure we get those timely notices out to you with the active Zoom link for all the upcoming webinars. So until, well, next new moon, move with joy and passion on this always mutable journey to the core of our souls. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.